After Kevin McCarthy was ignominiously ejected from his role as House Speaker, the Fox Propaganda Network debated the issue on the program The Five, and our favorite Fox News host, the lone voice of sanity on that network, Jessica Tarlov, was able to fact-check her furious and despairing co-hosts and remind them of a few uncomfortable truths. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. Maybe check out my Patreon. I'd appreciate the support. All right, folks, so again, we are in maximum schadenfreude mode to which we are entitled. The Republican Party and the conservative movement, they do this to us all the time. You know, I remember in the lead up of Donald Trump's election in 2016, they would, hold liberal or leftist tears tumblers, and they would share memes about cry harder, lib, and it was all about rubbing in a political defeat. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and the Republican Party is abjectly humiliating themselves in front of, the country and the planet, especially after yesterday's shenanigans. So, got some clips I want to play, which again will, are intensely gratifying, and it's from the Fox Propaganda Network program, The Five. So you can consider this an official meeting of the Jessica Tarlov fan club. But first, I want you to hear from her co-host, Judge Jeanine Pirro.
I'm furious. First of all, we're without a speaker. This is historic. Something like this hasn't happened in well over 100 years. And now what we've got is total chaos when the Republicans are playing out their infighting on national television in a historic way instead of fighting Joe Biden's policies. The one time we are up in virtually every metric as it relates to the Biden administration, you've got the Republicans going out there and showing how dysfunctional they are as Matt Gaetz is engaging in fundraising. And I got to tell you something. I am furious. There's no question that this is something that they have been trying to do for almost 9 months that McCarthy's been Speaker. And the truth is that they've done a lot in Congress. They've gotten a lot of bills passed. The fact that the Senate doesn't want to take them. They've done a lot in terms of oversight. And, now you've got the Democrats. This is a crazy thing. Democrats who hate the MAGA Republicans are now joining with the MAGA Republicans to oust Speaker McCarthy. This is like the devil is in the middle of all of this chaos, and Donald Trump is worried. Why are the Republicans fighting with each other like this?
So when she says that Donald Trump is right, he posted a thing on Truth Central in which he virtue signaled. He's like, why are the Republicans fighting amongst themselves? Why are the Republicans fighting amongst themselves when they should be taking on the crazy radical leftists and crooked Joe Biden? Of course, it's ironic because Donald Trump is the king of inter-party fighting. He swings at Republicans all the time over the pettiest of issues, so he's hardly an authority on that. But yeah, Jeanine Pirro's despair is just chef's kiss. It's intensely gratifying. And the answer to her question is, it's because Republicans have no interest in and no talent for responsibly governing. They suck, Jeanine. They really do. In terms of running a country, in terms of running a lemonade stand, they are genuinely, legitimately, factually awful. Republicans are good for one thing: culture war issues. So, I don't know, maybe you were hoping for a bait and switch, like Republicans could campaign on culture war issues and then some sort of like hive mind would take over and they would get their act together to responsibly govern. But that's just not how it works. So now we've got the Queen herself, Her Majesty, Jessica Tarlov. This is what she has to say in response to all of this.
Congressmen and congresswomen in districts that Joe Biden won. And those people voted for divided government. They said, we want Joe Biden in the White House, but we want to make sure that we have Republicans in control of Congress. This obviously signals that they made a big mistake. But McCarthy actually has no one to blame but himself. Obviously, Matt Gaetz has his own agenda, et cetera. Kevin McCarthy decided that he should go on Face the Nation this weekend and lie about how that continuing resolution got cut over the weekend. He tried to blame the Democrats. Marge Brennan pushed back and she was like, no, they saved your butt, like they did back in January. And it's being widely reported that if he had not done that, there would have been Democrats that would have shifted over and supported him to keep him in control of this. It was a big, big mistake that he did that, squandering that opportunity to hold on to the speakership for, I don't know, a few more months. But yeah, Nancy Pelosi, hats off to you.
Well, it's easy.
So what she means in terms of Nancy Pelosi, and again, this is an uncomfortable truth, whether, conservatives like it or not. let's say you're a conservative watching and you just don't like Nancy Pelosi's policies. That's fine. I mean, you're wrong, but that's fine. There is simply no escaping this. Nancy Pelosi is an infinitely better administrator and a more competent leader, a more competent whip than Kevin McCarthy. She's just better than him by miles in all important ways. And that's hilarious because she had the same margin that Kevin McCarthy had. And she also had a wildly disparate caucus. She had, people like Spanberger, and I'm blanking on some of the names, but much more moderate centrist Democrats in the House. They were all over the place. And then you had the squad in the Progressive Caucus in the left flank. You had AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, et cetera, and so forth. And she had to wrangle all of it. And she did it infinitely better and with infinitely greater grace and success than Kevin McCarthy. So I think it's hilarious, once again, that our gal is much better than your guy if you're a conservative watching. So the last clip I want to play here is, again, from Jessica Tarlov. She has this to point out as well.
Make it quick. No, I'm going to make it really long, actually. No. You hear a lot about the impossible job of managing a caucus like this. He only had a 5-seat majority. That is the same number that Nancy Pelosi had, and she managed just fine. Yep. Nothing like this ever happened when Nancy Pelosi was in charge.
Yeah, well said, Jessica. Anyway, again, I imagine the Schadenfreude is going to go on for a minute, so just enjoy it while you can, and hopefully, when the House resumes, when it gets back from recess, House Democrats will be in a position to take advantage of the chaos to make some meaningful gains for the American people. But who knows? We'll see what happens.